Yes, Adil, you could go ahead and present your ideas.
Well, first of all, thanks to Dravidian Professional Forum, Honorable Minister, for inviting me. I really can't feel the shoes of my PhD supervisor, but my DPhil thesis at Oxford was on politics of citizenship in the aftermath of the Hindu-Muslim violence in Gujarat. So I understood the state a little bit. So at the time, and now I am working on the Bengal border, basically the Bengal-Bangladesh border, especially with the citizenship crisis that has happened since the passing of CAA and the rhetoric around NRC that was started by the Union Minister of Home. First of all, Honorable Minister and then Honorable MP both talked about that both the Prime Minister and Honorable Minister of Home are the product of federalism. However, we have to understood that how this rhetoric against Delhi started and how we identify them because of those statements at the time actually. So when in 2001, Mr. Modi became the chief minister, and especially we see these rhetoric increasingly came, especially after the 2002 riots, when all the statutory bodies like National Commission of Minorities, then National Human Rights Commission at the time, who were mainly at the time asking the state government to provide ration cards to the 2002 riot victims. They were asking them to rehabilitate. And at that time, this bogey of encroaching union was definitely raised by them. However, we know what is happening right now with the statutory bodies in Delhi. Uh, Secondly, what is obviously most important that I see uh, with regard to as my question was, uh, which is that regarding the law and order situation, and especially the way they change this BSF rule that I said that now border security force in West Bengal can actually all the Passport Act, all the CRPC Act will be applicable 50 kilometers from the border. Professor Gerring can actually relate with this because I think there is a similar example in US-Mexico border of 100 kilometers from the Mexico actually. So similar thing is being now introduced. The Honorable MP said that it has to be ratified in Parliament, and obviously there will be opposition to this, political opposition to this. Unlike my supervisor, I am a political anthropologist, and when I looked at the communities and how they are getting affected there, especially this India-Bangladesh border at that chicken neck, which we call this, we particularly see that there is always, this state of exception being created. So lot of like BJP right now started, and good that they got recently they got today they got a result with regard to the by election, but this creating a state of exception, what we know in theoretically this theory by Carl Schmitt, and especially that the sovereignty is defined by this creation of exception, the zone of exception. That is what we see, especially what the union is trying to do with regard to Bengal, especially these places. And because law and order, good that it is still a state subject, and I hope that the way they are working with the BSF, I hope Mr. Paniselvan asked the question that I fear sometimes that if they are going to move law and order to concurrent list as well, because what I'm seeing in these districts like Uttar Dinajpur and Malda, this increasing rhetoric that we need to border and we need to police these districts because these are Muslim dominated districts. And for the first time, the bogey of security is being raised that uh, entire like concepts of geopolitical concept that China is there and everything is there, and so much problems of what the same problem like the way they created Assam, they're creating to do some kind of thing like in West Bengal as well. And what we see that all the institutions are failing to check these central forces. So a case of BSF, border security force, detaining some women who were being trafficked from Bangladesh. That case reaches Patna High Court, and then High Court asking the administration of Kishanganj, which is bordering Bengal, Bihar, that try to identify the infiltrators. So basically asking common citizens, so even judiciary is playing along in those sections, that try to find that a case which should not have possibly in this case should have been dealt in a different way, but through these cases, the way we saw the NRC crisis happen in Assam, we saw the same thing in that particular province, that Bihar, Bengal, that particular chicken neck, that asking people to identify illegal infiltrators and asking them to take some kind of mob role in that sense. So we see that this regime is always creating these zones of exception, and then they slowly want to take these policing roles. And I don't know what will happen, but in case in case this BSF rules goes through parliament, then obviously 1/3 of West Bengal will come under the border security force, and there will be a massive law and order situation. As community, I find that they are not trained to police, and they are mainly looking at, as most of the Bengali Muslims there, as often as enemy citizen. That they have done. We have their mainly all their they are mainly rice cultivators, and they often declare, like recently they declared section 144, and creating again some kind of as I said, some kind of threat level, and then stopping people from stopping people from their daily activities, and always like creating these kinds of kind of situation, emergency, a state of emergency in these places, and then entire politics then revolves around that. So, which is something as a dangerous, and I feel that with regard to education, with regard to law and order, slowly and obviously we see more and more the union is trying to take over the role of the state. I was from state board, and after studying state board, went abroad and did my DPhil in Oxford. But slowly, as you can see with what happened with NEET, I hope the Honorable MP is not here, but I hope that Honorable MP and the TMC government will oppose NEET as the DMK is doing in Tamil Nadu. This is a major crisis for all the students who are studying in rural Bengal. It is a major crisis for them who want to crack medical or engineering exams without coaching, without any resources, because ultimately the union and Delhi is totally discarding our education system. Ultimately, we have to understand that people really study. There must be some kind of economic incentive as well, whether they can crack those national entrance board. If you render these courses or state board useless in terms of getting jobs, in terms of cracking these medical entrance, where there will be a uniform syllabus, and you take the medical seats from Calcutta, and that will be very much disastrous. So salute to the DMK government for taking a very strong stand on that, and I hope that the TMC government will take similar stand on this issue, which is a massive issue altogether. That is what I want to say. That please, like raise your voice, especially with regard to this union's habit of creating state of exception with regard to the non-Hindi states.
Thank you. Thank you so much,